dredge islands here within the Mosquito Lagoon, right, that you see here across from Oak Hill Fish Camp, are primarily a byproduct of extensive dredging to create the Intracoastal Waterway, otherwise known as the ICW. And that was important to allow larger commercial ships and sailboats to be able to get through. Normally this lagoon keeps at 3 to 5 feet. And actually right here it's less than that. It's probably about 1.5 to 2 feet right now. But this part, what we call the boating highway, is actually maintained at 12 to 15 feet deep. That will allow large keeled boats to be able to get through on a regular basis. Now, when they dredge this area, they don't just shove the soil aside. They actually have to pick it up and put it somewhere. And so what they did, this was between the 1880s and 1950s. When they were first doing this, they were cutting through natural estuarine environment, picking up this sediment and creating these islands. So the majority of these islands all along from here to Hullover are all artificial islands. A lot of people don't realize that. Nowadays, these islands have since been inhabited by animals and plants, as you can see, and they are a very important part of, a lot of people like to go take their boats or kayaks there or fishing around there.
But here's the thing most people don't realize. These dredge islands didn't just change the way the lagoon looks, they completely changed why the fishing here is so ridiculously good. See, when they piled up all that dredged material, the sand, that crushed coquina, the shell, the muck of the bottom, they accidentally created something incredible. They created structure in the middle of a flat, shallow lagoon. And if you know anything about fishing, you know that structure is everything. Fish need edges, they need drop-offs, they need places to hide, places to ambush. And that's exactly what these islands gave them. So, picture this. You've got the ICW channel right here, 12 to 15 feet deep. And then, right next to it, you've got these islands. And on the other side of the islands, the water drops back down to 1, 2, maybe 3 feet on the grass flats. That transition zone, where the deep water meets the shallow water across these islands, that's what we call the edge effect. And that is where the magic really happens. Predators like redfish, trout, and snook, they all use that deep channel like a highway. They cruise there where it's safe and deep, and then they slide up onto the shallow flats around these islands to feed. The islands slow down the current. Sediment settles into the leeward side, and that's where your seagrass beds grow. And those seagrass beds, that's the grocery store. Shrimp, crabs, mullet, pinfish, all hanging out in the grass. And the big fish know it. Now here's what really makes Mosquito Lagoon special. And I mean like nowhere else on the planet special. This lagoon is called the redfish capital of the world. And there's a real scientific reason for that. Normally, redfish have to leave the estuary and swim out to the ocean to spawn. They don't need to leave. They spawn right here in the lagoon. They're born here. They grow up here. They live here their whole lives. We've got bull reds in this lagoon that are over 50 pounds that have never seen the Atlantic Ocean. They're homebodies, and I wouldn't blame them. That means that the fishing is consistent 365 days a year. You're not waiting for a seasonal migration because the fish are always here. Now, the island's right here near Oak Hill. Some of the locals call them the Clinkers. They got that name because when the dredge material came through the pipes, it was full of hard coral and shell fragments, and it made this clinking sound hitting the metal. Unlike the softer sandy spoil islands further out, the Clinkers are made of hard stuff. And that means underwater, you've got these sharp drop-offs and rocky edges that you just won't find anywhere else in a grass flat lagoon. That rocky structure attracts species like sheepshead and mangrove snapper that love hard bottom. And in the winter, when a cold front blows through, those deep pockets near the Clinkers become thermal refuges for snook. The deep water holds its temperature better. So while the shallow flats might get too cold, the fish just tuck in next to these islands and wait it out. If you know where to look, you can have an incredible day of fishing when everyone else thinks it's way too cold to go out there. And the history out here, oh man. This lagoon has literally been feeding people for thousands of years, right here in Oak Hill. There's a site called Seminole Rest. It's a 21-acre archaeological site with a shell mound that's over 2,000 years old. The Timucuan Indians were harvesting oysters and clams right here in this very water, piling up the shells so high that they created their own islands. Those are called Middens. And Turtle Mound, just up the road, is the largest shell midden on the entire east coast of Florida. Spanish explorers used it as a navigation landmark. You could see it from the ocean. Fast forward to Civil War. Shipyard Island, which is the biggest island out here in the lagoon, was allegedly used by Confederates to build and repair blockade runners. The northern tip of that island was called Last Chance because it was the last spot sailors could scrap their hulls and make repairs before heading through the Haulover Canal. And then there's Prohibition. So during the 1920s and 30s, this lagoon was basically the most notorious bootlegging highway on the east coast of Florida. Boats loaded with rum and whiskey from Cuba and Bimini would come right across the beach, right near where we are now. They'd stash the liquor on the islands until it was safe to move it to the mainland. There's actually an island out here that people called Bottle Island because of all the stashed liquor. Some folks call it Battle Island too, because apparently rival fishermen would get into it out there. And that's where Whiskey Point is on the map. Some of these islands even have moonshine stills on them. You can't make this stuff up, but it's not just about the fishing. Mosquito Lagoon is part of the Indian River Lagoon system, and it's considered the most biologically diverse estuary in all of North America, with over 4,300 species of plants and animals living here. 72 of them are endangered or threatened. You're going to see dolphins, manatees, sea turtles, and a bunch of different types of birds. On any given day out here, it's like a nature documentary. And fun fact, you know Winter, the famous dolphin with the prosthetic tail from the movie Dolphin Tale? She was actually rescued right here in Mosquito Lagoon back in 2005. So yeah, this place makes animal celebrities too. And get this, you can actually camp on some of these islands. The Canaveral National Seashore manages 14 primitive island campsites out here. You book them through recreation.gov. Load up your boat or kayak and camp right on the spoil islands. No electricity, no running water, just you, the stars, and the sound of fish tailing on the flats at sunrise. Middle Dredge Island is an island we're going to be taking a look at next week, so make sure to subscribe for more. When you put it all together, Dredge Island, creating incredible structure, the year-round resident redfish population, the deep channels right next to shallow flats, the seagrass, the history, the wildlife, the animal celebrities. You start to understand why people come from all over the world to fish in this lagoon. And right here at Oak Hill Fish Camp, you're sitting at the front door to it all. We've got boat ramps, kayak launches, waterfront cabins, and we're right on the ICW. Whether you're a seasoned sight fishing guide or a family who's never held a rod before, this is the spot. This is old Florida. This is the real deal. So come see us at oakhillfishcamp.com and make sure you subscribe to this channel because we're going to keep showing you all these hidden gems of Mosquito Lagoon. We'll see you next time.